I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
Elementary school through high school, I was in summer programs like every year. I was in engineering programs, biomedical. I learned about STEM, business programs, mainly those three. Like I did a robotics one year. Um, and then that's how I like my junior going into my senior year of high school. I was in the Summer Transportation Institute program, which basically tells you about transportation and business. So I was most of these programs. First off, I was at A&T like most of my life. Got a full ride there because of my experience there. But the supply chain, that's how I learned about supply chain. I was like, wow, this is vital to business. Like you can't have a business without a supply chain. You can't get your products. You can't get your products produced. You can't get them sent to your factory to label it and everything. You can't get them sent to your customers. And reverse logistics, which is basically iPhones, for example, Apple will pay you to send them an iPhone because they're just going to reuse the parts to put it into the next iPhone. So that's what reverse logistics is. But that's how I got into supply chain management as a major going into A&T. And that's where I spent my last years doing between the entrepreneurship and then school and then graduating college and now I'm working in supply chain management.
And that's really, really interesting and really, really important because we talked about this off camera, just supply chain and people not even really know what's going into supply chain. A lot of times people think, I just go to the store, I pick up the product and I walk out, but they're not thinking about the point from where it goes from factory or even where it's from a raw good going to the manufacturer, then getting transported. So I definitely kind of want to dive in a little bit more. And can you just give people just the basics breakdown of what supply chain is?
So supply chain is, getting a product from creation to the hands of the consumer. Simplest terms, that's all it is.
With you being interested in that, how are you able to use that with you becoming an entrepreneur? Because it's really, really important, even for just a regular entrepreneur. How would they use supply chain in their day-to-day, saying maybe I'm making t-shirts or maybe I'm a person who's doing beauty supply? How does that affect me in my everyday life? Because we've seen supply chain take strains with COVID.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good example. So let's use the t-shirts. So first off, you got to get the materials to make the t-shirt, pay whoever, did that. You get the t-shirt to whoever's printing, doing the print press and everything. And then you get the t-shirt to you so that you can sell it to your consumers. Mm-hmm. And everything that goes in there, you might use an airplane, you might put it on a train, freight, or however, the transportation in between that. So you got to put that into your costs. So that's why a lot of businesses for t-shirts, for example, it's made in China, made in Vietnam or whatever, instead of made in the USA because it costs more. There's cheaper labor there. You put it in bulk, put it on a ship because ships are a lot cheaper and sell it. You get it a couple months later, but the costs are cheaper as opposed to you got to pay minimum wage in America, get the transportation, you got to actually pay the people, like actual substantial amounts of money, and then you get it to you. So it might cost you like on a high, I'm just throwing them to like $13 to get the shirt produced. And you still got to make a profit. You got advertisement. So you selling it for 40 and you may be like barely breaking even with that, depending on, your cost structure and how much you put it in.
Yeah, I'm glad you talk about that because it's important for people to understand all those different things. Because a lot of times, whenever we want to start businesses, that's something that a lot of people, everybody says start a business, but that's part of the education that you need fundamentally to understand. Because whenever you selling shirts, like you saying, or selling any product outside of maybe digital products, you're gonna have more cost than just one cost. You're gonna have the cost of acquiring, the cost of actually getting it there. Yeah, man, I'm glad you spoke on that. And I kind of want to talk now, like with that, kind of want to get into some of your entrepreneurial journey. So like what led you toward the mobile notary course from our brother Andre C. Hatch? Shout out to Brother Dre, man.
Shout out to Brother Dre. So last year, I started my first job doing supply chain management. I'm on social media. I'm looking at Twitter. I see B Jones.
Yeah. Shout out to B too.
Shout out to B. Dog posted a $60,000 check. He's off with the caption, just a week's worth of work. And I'm like, yo, I just got my first paycheck. It's Friday. 60 bands? I'm like, what in the world? So I follow him. Well, shout out to Hugo. I don't know if y'all know Hugo.
Yeah, shout out to Hugo too. Stack season, right?
Stack season.
Yeah.
So okay, going to that, I hit up Hugo. I've been in a group chat with Hugo for a couple years. I'm like, yo, put me on to everybody on Wealth Twitter that you know. So I'm trying to get it moving. I follow everybody. I see B in his tweet. I'm like, yo, I need to be doing something besides my job. So and then that's how I found Xavier C. Miller's podcast on Millionaire Mindset. So I'm listening to everything. I started from the beginning. I'm listening to every podcast. I'm like, what can I do? What business can I start? How can I make money? And I don't know what episode it was, like episode 17, 18 of it. And Andre C. Hatchett was on there talking about being a mobile notary. And then my grandfather, who's an electrician, he's a notary as well. But he talked to me about it. I was like, because the rules in North Carolina, you can only charge $5. I'm like, I'm not about to be doing business, driving, charging $5. So I was like,
yeah, that's that bullshit in North Carolina. I do not take appointments in North Carolina.
So that was like a couple months. I was like, yeah, I'm not $5. I'm not about to do that. It costs like $100 just to become a notary. And then I'm listening to, yeah, like it just didn't make sense to me. So I'm listening to the podcast. He's like, yeah, I got notary, fingerprinting, apostilles, and you can make like $150 per appointment. I'm like, this ain't what I heard. So I look into that. So I want to say that was like May, June. And then I was following everybody on the podcast. I listened to it. They spit their information at the end. I'm following them, trying to see what can I do. And then I see that he was having a sale. It was like a band. I was like, dang, I just started working. I ain't got the funds like that for real. I went to Thailand before I started working. And then I put it on my credit card and accidentally paid it off. So I was like, damn, I'm missing like $1,500. And Conclave was coming up. Shout out to Cap Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. It was in August. So I'm like, but I'm gonna invest in myself, because if I'm making $150 per appointment, that's easily gonna make my money back. Mm-hmm. And so I did that. I hit him up, sent him the bread, started listening to the course, watching the videos, got my website up, became a notary by the end of August, started my business in September. First client, $300. It was a doctor. They needed fingerprints. I was like, yo. Like, wait. And it cost me like $300 to start the business. So I'm like,
I just made it back.
$1,400 invested just, to start a business and get education to start the business. And then I made $300 my first appointment. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can get down with this. Because my first, like, everybody on the podcast, they've been doing stuff for years. They're doing real estate, they're selling products, doing whatever. I'm like, I need capital. I don't have anything. I can't just flip a house or even do marketing for wholesaling. So my main goal with the notary thing was to start getting capital so that I can reinvest it into other revenues and businesses.
And around what time was that? Around what time span? Just so we kind of have a time frame. What year was that?
Oh, it was last year.
Last year. So you started last year.
Yeah. Heard the pod, bought the course in, I want to say July. Took the notary test in August. There was some issues with my mailing address and all that. So I got the notary license at the end of August, got the website up. It's up like September 15th, client September 22nd, $300.
Hey, turn up.
And I kind of want to point out one thing, because I like that you saying all this and bringing us through your journey, because a lot of people listen to podcasts, a lot of people into this wealth space, but one thing you're doing consistently throughout your story that a lot of people, I need everybody to take with them, is taking action, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Consistently took the steps toward it. Like, it's not just going to happen. Like, okay, man, the course of band, I don't know if I got it like that, but if I was going to go here, I can invest it in myself and build a business,
Mm-hmm.
Like, taking that mentality. I kind of want to talk more to that. Like, how did you kind of transition from, thinking like, man, this might not be worth it, to this is an investment in myself?
Honestly, seeing other people making money. Because you hear a lot, all these high school dropouts becoming millionaires and billionaires, starting their own businesses. I'm like, I just graduated college. I got a whole degree. Why can't I do that?
Hey, that's the mental that it takes. Saying it, but also believing in yourself to know enough that, hey man, they could do it for real. I could do this shit for real too. And like he said, the action and the steps that you took, I also see it pulling back though from your earlier beginnings. You already knew that you can make money from nothing before. So you probably was already in your head. It was like, man, if I really just do this, I'm gonna do it. I've done it myself, but I also see my grandparents, what they were able to achieve too. So I'm pretty sure all of that was already building blocks that led to you coming upon these things and being able to say, okay, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna start moving forward.
For sure. And like I said, I was listening to podcasts, everybody talking about multiple streams of income. I'm like, I'm not about to get a part-time job. I hit up my grandfather, he electrician. In high school, I was in like electrician program. So I got like 1 or 2 certifications. I was like, shoot, I'm about to make some money being an electrician. And he told me, like, hey, you get $10 an hour starting out. I'm like, dog, I got a whole salary. I'm not about to spend my excess hours for $30. So I was like, I'm about to start a business.
Nah, but that's the way to look at it though, because a lot of people, their opt-out is, I'm gonna just get a second job. I'm gonna go work more.
I'm gonna exchange my time for money.
I'm gonna either give up my time on the weekend or give up my time after I get off my other job, and I'm gonna go clock in some more hours at this other job. But they don't see the time trade-off that they're getting. A lot of people don't understand that time is one of our most precious resources. And you were able to take that time. It might have taken you longer than you expected. Like you said, you started off in June, July, and you worked all the way up until September. That was like what, 3-4 months of work that you had to put in. But after that, you were able to make $300 in the same amount of time of people who would have been able to trade off more than a weekend. Like $300, that's minimum wage in Louisiana. That's 2 weeks of work. Like,
yeah. Honestly, that's oppression for real.
And
real talk.
I kind of want to fast forward. So how did you carry that momentum forward after you got your first client? Can you kind of walk us through that? Like, what did that look like with you doing the fingerprints? Because like you said, you weren't doing the regular notary appointments because that shit only paid you $5. So how did you become specialized and figure out, okay, this is what I'm gonna start doing from now
on? I mean, the money. Brother Dre talked about it in the course. He was like, yeah, you can make $150 to $300 per appointment. I was like, that's a lot better than $5 for a notary. So I bought the materials, the fingerprint pads, the ink, the cards, all of that. Put the website up, put myself on Google Business, and then the phone started ringing.
So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to hop into more. So like with the marketing of it, so you put it on Google My Business, and like that was your main source of marketing, or like were you also doing different types of marketing for your notary service?
That's been my only source of marketing since I started, and it's all organic. I did ads for a little bit, but it wasn't really doing anything because I'm the top, like for my business in my area. So there's nobody else, you type in, I need fingerprints, I'll pop up. So there wasn't really much need for ads.
So can we talk more about that? So like with the process of building out your website, obviously that has something to do with SEO. So like, can we talk to like, how'd you kind of get your site to rank higher and your strategy with your notary service? Cause you told us off camera, you local.
So initially, before I started the notary business, like I said, I was listening to the podcast trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. So I started learning about coding for 2 weeks. I did like a trial thing. I was like, yeah, this is not it for me. I made a little website. I was like, yeah, no, barely a website. I just put my name on it, put a picture of me on there. I was like, yeah, this is not it. Then I started an e-commerce site where I'm selling AirPod cases. I'm about to relaunch that next year, but I just didn't know what I was doing. So you hear about SEO, copywriting and all of that marketing stuff, Facebook ads. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this. So I applied the same SEO information to the fingerprinting and the notary. Like think about it, when you're Googling something, you're going to type in exactly what you're looking for. So I'm going to put that on my website. You need fingerprints? I got fingerprints. You need a notary? I can do that for you. What's up? Same thing with the apostilles. Like people, I'm gonna talk about that later about the apostilles and everything. But people type in, I need an apostille. How can I get an apostille? How can I get fingerprints? Notary near me. I put all those words on my website, so that's what pops up.
That's smart though. And with the SEO, for people who aren't familiar, it's just search engine optimization, and that's basically making sure that your site pulls up to the top every time something is searched. Like my brother said, he at the top already. So with him doing those type of things and him using those certain phrases, he was able to kind of like hack the search engine.
Super organic traffic.
Yeah.
And it's really just understanding like how people think and how people kind of communicate with the search engine.